Welcome back, drawing buddies. This week we're going to draw the Rocketeer from pencils to inks to colors. So if that sounds like a great way to spend 15 minutes or so, then let's draw. The Rocketeer's first appearance was in Star Slayer number 2. That was in either 1981 or 82, I believe. I'm doing this one by memory, so we're going to stick with that. He actually is in an ad, I believe, either on the back or in the back cover of Star Slayer number 1. So if you're one of those people who thinks that's a first appearance, then I guess his first appearance would be Star Slayer number 1. But then you'd have to think that Batman's first appearance was in, I think, an issue of Action Comics because they had an ad. But I don't think they actually had a picture of him. I don't know. I'd have to look into that, but I know that's a thing. And Dave Stevens, he created the Rocketeer because he did some work for Marvel. He inked an issue of Star Wars number 6. He did some pinups, and he knew a lot of the comic guys. And I think it was Mike Kaluta or Michael Golden. One of those two said, "You know, Dave, you should do your own comic book." And he's like, "I don't know. I never drew a comic book." And they're like, "It's not a problem. Just come up with an idea. We'll get it done." And he created the Rocketeer. And I'm pretty sure he didn't do the layouts for the original issues. He did, I want to say either Kaluta or Golden did layouts for him. And then he just drew over the layouts and did the finished penciling. Because he wasn't sure how to do the whole storytelling thing. But he picked it up pretty quickly. The Rocketeer is one of my favorite comic characters. He was since the early 90s. I mean, he premiered in 82, but I didn't really know much for indie comics when I first started reading comics. I was a Marvel DC guy. I was a teenager. Comics weren't very cool in my school, so I couldn't find that kid with all the cool indie books and learn what they were. I was introduced to the Rocketeer through the Disney movie, of course, and then after that I was hooked, and I needed all the issues. And my local comic shop, Richie's Comic Cabana, R.I.P. Richie's, you will be missed. Richie himself is fine, by the way. He had a bag on one of his spinner racks that had all the issues of the Rocketeer stories up to that time, from the Pacific Presents to Comico Presents. And it didn't have the adventure magazines, I don't think, but it had all the other stories. And I gotta get that, but I didn't have the $20 or $30 that it was. And then 2 weeks later, I had the money. I'm like, cool, I'm gonna go buy those Rocketeers so I could read them all. And they were gone. Somebody else bought them. And that made me sad. I should have had Richie hold them because he probably would have done that for me. Because Richie's a good guy like that. Shout out to Richie, by the way. And so I did notice they had a graphic novel, that big oversized one, the New York Adventure, I think it's called, or whatever. And it's all his original stories put in a larger format, and you read them. And I haven't read them in a really long time, so I don't remember much. I do remember that, obviously everybody remembers, the difference between the movie and the comic is the comic's a little more adult orientated. It's not like nudity and straight on, adult. But his girlfriend, for example, in the comic is Betty Page. Betty Page was an actual person. She's a burlesque model from the 1950s, and she did some nude shoots and everything, and that was Cliff's girlfriend. In the movie, since it was a Disney movie, they changed her to Jenny. She was an up-and-coming actress, and she was just trying to break into the industry, which caused her to get put in a movie with the villain of the movie and all that other stuff we'll get to in a minute. But this video is also only 14 minutes long, so I don't know how much I'm going to get to, and that kind of stinks. So we're going to have to draw the Rocketeer again. So please, people, watch this Rocketeer video so that I have an excuse to do another one, so I could talk about him a lot more and reread the comic, which I didn't do, because we're mostly going to go from the movie, because I've seen the movie recently. Oh, the pencils are done. We're on to the inks. Also, I should have said this earlier in the video, this is my 1-year anniversary video for YouTube. And I decided to do the Rocketeer because the Rocketeer is one of my favorite characters, which I said earlier also. And I'm not sure anybody's going to watch a Rocketeer video. And for this video, I don't care. I mean, my views yesterday were really, really good. I mean, they just shot out of nowhere, even though it only got me 1 follower. But then my views the next day were really, really terrible. It's very inconsistent, and I don't even know why, because I'm looking at the titles of the videos what I'm talking about, and there's no consistency between what's watched and what's not. But year 2, we will definitely, hopefully, reach 1,000 subscribers sooner than later. It should have happened already, but the new algorithm doesn't like me very much. So we are at 837 as of the filming of this video. So if you want to help me hit 1,000 subscribers and you got this far, which is amazing, thank you very much, please give me a follow. So the Rocketeer Disney movie starts out, you know, it's like a car chase, and the FBI is, it takes place in like the 1930s, I believe, and it's a car chase, and they're chasing down these guys who just stole an experimental rocket pack from Howard Hughes, also another real person. And it's the FBI chasing them, and looks like they're not going to get away, and they end up in an airfield. So they get out of the car, and they take this experimental rocket pack, and they switch it out with a vacuum cleaner and hide it in one of the jets. And then, you know, one of the guys gets shot, one gets captured, and they blow up their car, thinking, oh, okay, I guess that's the jetpack that got destroyed, even though it's only a vacuum cleaner. And one of the cool things is one of the guys in the car in the movie is Max, I forgot his last name, but he plays Rom on Star Trek Deep Space Nine. So there's a degree of separation. My favorite TV show and the Rocketeer are connected by that actor. And Rom is also awesome. He saved the whole Alpha Quadrant, but this is not going to be a very long video, so we're not going to talk about Rom. So Rom and the other guy, they hid the jetpack in one of the planes in the building, and I guess Cliff had to take a job as like a flying clown kind of thing to pay some bills because his racing plane got destroyed, and the rocket pack was hidden inside that jet, and he finds it, and him and Peavy do some tests. Peavy is his best friend and his engineer, by the way, played by Alan Arkin, and Cliff Secord is played by Billy Campbell. And of course his girlfriend Jenny, I forgot her last name, but she is played by the lovely Jennifer Connelly, and the villain, of course, is Timothy Dalton, James Bond. Well, he was James Bond for a little while. But the inking is done. It is time to color the Rocketeer. Whew, we're halfway through this thing already. So, yeah, so he finds the jetpack, and they do some testing, and Peavy makes him the iconic helmet out of a radio. And they're doing all these tests, and they're not sure that a human should fly it. They like tied it to a statue that they cut down at the airfield, and it totally wrecked the statue when it took off, and they're chasing their truck. It's a good scene. But Cliff is late for the air show, so Bigelow, it's Bigelow's air show, by the way, decides he's going to send another guy. Well, another guy decides to go up in Cliff's place because they don't want Cliff to lose his job, and the guy is an old man who drinks a little too much, and he hasn't flown in years, but, you know, Cliff's always been good to him, and he wants to help out, so he gets in the plane and tries to do Cliff's stunt show, and that goes about as horribly bad as you would expect it to. And Cliff, seeing that the guy's in trouble, he's like, Peavy, we gotta go help him. And Peavy's like, how are you gonna do that? Our plane is busted. And he goes, the jetpack. And Peavy's like, we never know, that's a bad idea. That thing's never been flown before. And Cliff's like, well, we got no choice. So he gets in, and he flies, and they go up, and he ends up saving the guy. And then the guy, Bigelow, run the show, narrates it like it's part of the show, even when they destroy the fuel truck, and it blows up, and he's almost in tears. And so the Rocketeer's adventures begin. Now, Neville Sinclair, he is an actor. He's kind of like Errol Flynn, I think they're trying to copy. And he is also a Nazi. He works for the Third Reich with Hitler and all that, and they want the jetpack. So he tries to get the jetpack, and he finds out that Rocketeer is dating Jenny, so he gets Jenny a part in a movie, and with the plan of getting the jetpack and all that good stuff. And I don't know how well I'm going to time this, but, you know, he's got the mob working for him to help him get the jetpack, but the mob doesn't know he's a Nazi, which is something important that comes in later in the movie. And then there's another villain called Lothar. He's just this big, imposing, hulking guy with a really big head. And he's not that smart, he's just strong. And I think he's based on a real person from the silent film era who looked just like him. I forgot the guy's name, but he wasn't big and tall and imposing. He just had that look. And so they're trying to get the jetpack, and there's a scene in the nightclub where he's trying to save Jenny from Neville because he knows Neville's a bad guy. And he comes clean. He's like, Jenny, I got to tell you something. I'm the Rocketeer. And she just looks at him and goes, the Rocka who? She has no idea what he's talking about. And she's not very happy with him because he missed a date because of the whole air show thing. And, you know, finding the helmet, finding the jetpack, and becoming the Rocketeer and all that stuff. And I'm doing a terrible job of summarizing this movie, so I apologize for that. But it's one of those things I'm kind of excited about because this is the Rocketeer I'm finally drawing. So bear with me. I also tried a little something different on the colors. I went with the risograph brushes for the shading. And I probably should have used them for the base colors too, but too late now. Then the Nazis finally get they kidnap Jenny, and they're holding her hostage so that Cliff will give them the jetpack after he meets with Howard Hughes and learns about it, and he ends up stealing the jetpack and all that other stuff because he has to go save Jenny. And they're fighting, and they're on a blimp, and Neville is about to get the jetpack from Cliff, and Cliff goes to the gangsters like, do you know you're working for Nazis? I'm like, wait, what are you talking about? He's like, yeah, he's a Nazi. He's trying to steal a jetpack to give it to Hitler and all that stuff. Are you allowed to say Hitler in YouTube videos? Whatever. And the gangster's like, whoa, hold on a minute, Sinclair. You never told us you were no Nazi. He's like, you know, we may not make an honest living, but we're Americans through and through, and we ain't working for no Nazis. So then the Nazis start fighting with Cliff to get the jetpack back, and they do. And they go fighting on a blimp. And Cliff gets into a fight with Lothar, the big-headed guy, and he gets kicked off. And sometime early in the movie, the jetpack gets shot with a bullet, and it runs off alcohol. Oh, here, I draw in the background patterns here. I left this in because the video is going to be short, and it's kind of like a representation of fields and stuff like that on the ground. I actually got a Rocketeer from one of my favorite artists named Duncan Raoul at New York Comic Con. He drew for me, and he did a similar thing on the background when he did it, and I thought that was a cool idea, except mine is more graphic than his, which is hard to believe. But anyway, that's not the point. So they repaired the jetpack just by putting PB's gum on it. So Neville says, you know, I'll give you Jenny back. You just got to give me the jetpack. And Cliff goes, all right, fine. You win. Even though the blimp's going to crash, and who the heck knows how they're going to save themselves. So he gets Jenny back. He gives Neville the jetpack. And Neville goes to fly off. But when he gave him the jetpack, he pulled the gum off that was keeping the fuel tank sealed. So when Neville takes off from the blimp with the jetpack to go give it to Mr. Adolf, it explodes because the fuel catches fire, and that's the end of Neville Sinclair, and the Rocketeer wins. And then they're at the airport again, and Peavy finds his blueprints that he made of the jetpack while he was figuring it out and working on it. It's like, oh, we can make a few different alterations and make this thing all cool and stuff. So, the movie made no money, so they didn't get a sequel, unfortunately. It became popular on video and all that other fun stuff, and found its legs there, because that used to be how movies got cult followings back in the day. They'd come out on video or DVD, and people would find, oh, that's a really good movie. I never saw it in the theaters. I should have watched it in the theaters. There might have been a sequel. So we never got the sequel, although they had plans of doing them. You know, they wanted to cash in on the success of the Batman movies and all that. So that's my summary of the Rocketeer. And thank you all for joining me for my first year YouTube videos. If any has watched all the way to the end, thank you very much. Have yourselves a great week, and go out and draw something. Oh, and like and subscribe and all that stuff, because I need another 163 subscribers. And we'll see you all throughout the year for year 2.